Well, hey now. It's the Rob from 106.1 Kiss FM. Here with my tag team partner in podcasting and my best friend, the one and only Ramblin' Jerry Valeri. Good morning, Jer.
I am so fired up for today's edition because it's special. It's a special edition of Post to Post.
Yes, it is a very special edition of Post to Post. Today is the second annual Post to Post Postie Awards. And I didn't know, do you even want to talk about SmackDown? Is there anything worth talking about from SmackDown?
Not much to note. You know, it looks like they're starting to heat it up between Ellsworth and Ambrose, and I'm okay with it. Here we go.
I'm curious if that's where they're going. I don't know what you do with Ellsworth once his main event, appearances are done. Like, I don't know that you can put him in like a normal feud, but maybe you can. Maybe you can make him that underdog character that people will really pump their fists for. I'm not sure.
With these two hands, anything is possible, Rob. Remember that.
Let me just see what notes I took real quick. I'm trying to pull them up here.
Because I don't have anything notable. Like, if you want to just jump right into it, the only thing I'll say is Otunga is terrible again, and I would give him line of the night just for how bad it was.
Oh, Eric Cornish sent me some lines of the night that he thought from SmackDown. What was yours? And I'll tell you Cornish's.
It really wasn't the line of the night. It was just how bad it was.
Maybe it's what he wrote, because he wrote me a funny one.
It was Ellsworth, and I wish I'd written it down, but it was like, you know what they say, you do this and you get dirty deeds, and I'm like, is that what they say? Is that what they say, Otunga?
Oh yeah, I did catch that. And then Cornish caught one that, I would have just blown right by, but he caught it. I think he was saying JBL said it, but it's worded kind of oddly. He wrote, it's the line of the night from the Hype Brothers match. JBL's "Put your foot on the carburetor and drive it like you stole it." He adds, "I'm not a mechanic, but I'm not sure that's how that works."
I don't think that's how carburetors work.
No. And then he also wanted to point out the Miz. He said, "What? No, you deserve it, chance."
I love that. I did love that legitimately.
My only note is, and we can get more into this, next week or whatever, but I'm having a serious problem with the insane number of rematches we are getting. And I don't care if you want to go from episode to episode, or if you want to go from pay-per-view to pay-per-view, or if you want to go from pay-per-view to episode. The number of rematches we are getting is driving me crazy.
Baron Corbin and Kalisto, there was no need for them to have another match.
No.
They ended their feud perfectly.
They left it all in the ring.
There was no need for Baron Corbin to squash Kalisto.
Yeah, it's just like, it's driving me crazy. And it happened on Raw, and it's like we're getting ready for Sasha and Charlotte again. And it's like, I'm kind of over these rematches. This is why I have a huge problem with the brand extension. The number of options is becoming limited, and it's just driving me nuts. But whatever, I digress. I'd rather talk about the posties.
I'd rather get right into the posties.
All right. Should we, I don't know if I have any sort of like elegant music. I feel like it deserves something.
Bum, ba-da, bum, bum, bum.
Here.
Time for the posties. How was that?
All right, it's time for the posties. Could you hear that stinger I played? Did you hear that?
No, I was too busy yelling. What did you play?
Hold on, I'm hoping it should be patched through to you. Hold on. Can you hear that?
I got it.
Okay, so yeah, that's the second annual Post to Post Postie Awards. The first with Jerry. The first one was with Steve, and now it's me and Jared bringing you our thoughts on the biggest and best of 2016. So we have not talked about this. We have not convened. We're just giving our own opinions in certain categories, giving away some, I believe they're called superlatives, best in show kind of stuff.
Yes, I am totally ready. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's start at the top, and we'll work our way down. I feel like the big award is for Superstar of the Year. And I feel like this one's kind of easy, although you could throw out a few names that would make sense. I don't mind getting things started. This one, in my opinion, there are a few people you could say had a banner year. I think anyone in the Shield could say they had a fantastic year. I could say that Oh, there's another name. Oh, Kevin Owens could say that he had a really good year as well.
Absolutely.
But I think when you look back and when you factor in that this guy hasn't even been on the roster for a full year and how far he has come in just 10, 11 months, I think there's no other appropriate answer this year. 2016 was the year of AJ Styles in the WWE.
I have AJ Styles. AJ Styles is the superstar of the year, without a doubt. If I were going to give an honorable mention, I don't think I'd even go for one of the Shield guys. Dean Ambrose sure could get consideration. Kevin Owens. I would have said, if it weren't AJ Styles, I feel like this year doesn't always have to be a champion. This year was a year for Jericho. And I think Chris Jericho needs to be mentioned as a Superstar of the Year candidate this year.
I don't think that he should be number 2, but we certainly agree on number 1. Jericho had a great year, I think, for, inside fans like us who kind of know what's going on. It's not that he didn't have a title, and he really did have a great year, especially after so many really bad ones following his. I feel like he stopped being Jericho after he first left in 2005.
He finally got that back this year. He really did.
Yeah, so he did have a great year, but I wouldn't put him in my top 5. I'd probably put him around number 6.
I just wanted to give him an honorable mention, but AJ Styles, I wrote that down. That was a very easy conclusion for me to come to.
Yeah, we obviously are in agreement on that one. And correct me if I'm wrong. At the beginning of this year, on January 1st, you had never seen an AJ Styles match.
Ever. Not ever. Never. I've known of him, but I didn't watch TNA.
Yeah.
So
and now you've got him as Superstar of the Year.
Yeah, and deservedly so. He's so entertaining. He's so good in so many different ways.
So there we go. Congratulations to AJ Styles picking up the congratulations. Hold on. Do you want a round of applause? I suppose I can give you one of those too.
Yeah. Congratulations,
AJ. You deserve it. You deserve it. All right, very good. Tag Team of the Year. In my opinion, a little bit harder of a category, but I still did not have a hard time picking one. You want to throw yours out there? You want me to go?
I went ahead and this year, and it was tough because there were a lot of tag teams that came onto the scene and really had great years.
Absolutely. It was a great year for tag teams.
It was a great year for tag teams, but I just don't know how you can't say New Day again. I mean, this was another year for New Day. I don't think they'll get it next year. I think their run is coming to an end as the top. And I don't say it just because they were the tag champs the entire year. I say it because most of the relevant and interesting tag team feuds that we saw involved them for the most part. And lately it's been getting a little on the weird side. When they come out, I know that I'm going to be entertained. At least for the most of the year, they really entertained me. Lately, they've been getting a little nuts. But
I agree.
I give it the New Day. I think the New Day Tag Team of the Year.
I agree with everything that you said. However, I have New Day as number 2. And I mean this sincerely. And as you mentioned with Chris Jericho earlier, it's not necessarily about title reigns.
No.
And who holds the belt for the longest, and that's not what this is about. That might be how the Slammy Awards, work. But for us, I don't think New Day was number 1 this year. I think they were last year, and this year I genuinely think that they were number 2. And the team that they were number 2 to, in my opinion, in all honesty, is Enzo and Cass.
Yeah, I was thinking Enzo and Cass as well because they're, and I don't want to go ahead too far, but like for newcomers, I thought about Enzo and Cass as well. I mean, those guys have done a great job. I can't argue with your pick. I still think New Day was the best tag team for this year, but I won't debate you.
Yeah,
I mean like
to me, it's neck and neck. But I mean, I feel like Enzo and Cass, they came on like with a bomb, and they've had the crowd in their hand ever since. And I feel like, I mean, when they come out, their reaction is bigger than New Day's, in my opinion. They don't need a title to get over. And I think that they had a fantastic year. You could not have written, like, there's no way their debut on the main roster has done anything but over deliver their expectations.
Absolutely. And kudos to the WWE for realizing it and putting them in big programs and getting them on TV enough, because people want to see them and they realize this.
So there you go. Congratulations to the, I guess New Day picking up Jerry's, and Enzo and Cass walking away with my Tag Team of the Year award.
Do we have to agree? Do we have to come to an agreement at the end of these? Or?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
And then the next category is Diva of the Year. And I had a little bit of a tough time, but it came down to 2 for me.
I think it came down to 2 for everybody.
Yeah, it probably did. And my favorite diva on the roster and probably of all time is Charlotte. And in 2015, for our first Postie Awards, I gave the Diva of the Year to, or the whatever woman wrestler of the year to Charlotte. And she's still my favorite. However, I think that the best year was had by Sasha Banks, and I'm choosing her to be my Diva of the Year.
It is unanimous. We both chose Sasha Banks, and it was close. I mean, it had to come between Sasha and Charlotte. The WWE has given us very little choice because they keep putting those 2 in the main event.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But Sasha's had the bigger year, the more banner year. She got to stand to 2 "You Deserve It" chants and 2 separate acceptance speeches, and she's won the belt 3 times, and they both put on great matches, and so I think it's Sasha. This was the year for Sasha.
And we agree. Congratulations to Sasha. You deserve it. You deserve it. All right, so let's keep moving forward here. Match of the year. Boy, am I excited to get into this one.
Yeah.
Boy, am I excited. All right, you want to I don't mind if you want.
It's my turn, I guess. We're going to just go back and forth.
All right, sure. What do you got?
Okay, this was a tough one for me. And I had a few that I was playing with, but at the end of it, and for me, I need a match that I not only delivered in the ring and delivered with the crowd, but for me, I've got to feel something. And there's got to be that psychology, and there's got to be the emotion, and it never hurts if you put somebody through a stack of tables. So I picked Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble. I love that match. That's my match of the year. Great
choice. I thought of that match. Actually, I didn't think of it until I went to bed last night and was checking up on my wrestling news, and I saw that WWE released their list of their 20 best matches for fans to vote on. And I realized that I had forgotten about that match, and I'm kind of glad that you chose it, because that means that you didn't forget about it. And I remember talking to you after that match. You adored it. You lost your mind over it. I loved it. You were on the moon, over the moon happy with it.
You know how I am about extreme matches, and you know how I feel about Kevin Owens. It was absolutely perfect. And for me, I don't need my favorite wrestler to win a match. I just want a good match. Sure. And it was just spot crazy, but it wasn't a spot fest where it was like spot, rest. There was a lot of psychology in that match, and they both went after it. So
they both were themselves, and that was still Ambrose doing the weapon stuff, Kevin Owens being the brutal prize fighter stuff, and they were both. That match was, it was great. It's a great choice. I love that you picked that match, because I feel like that was your favorite match of the year.
Yeah.
Likewise, I also had a hard time picking, and I'm going to name a few matches before I say my favorite, because these were on my short list. I believe I had 5 on my short list. Are you ready?
Go for it.
These were the ones that did not quite make it, but I really considered strongly for this spot. The first is from Battleground, the controversial, at least on this show, Sami Zayn Kevin Owens match.
That was a 4 to 5 star banger, and it was the match of the night.
Yeah, everyone but Steve loved that match. A lot of people calling that match of the year, and I thought that it certainly, when you watch that one back, my gosh, that was really, really good stuff.
So good.
Let's see. I mentioned, AJ Styles and John Cena had a great match at SummerSlam. That was probably my least favorite match on this list, but still, they had a near 5-star at SummerSlam that didn't stop.
Yeah, it deserves a mention. AJ Styles had good matches with just about everybody. Like, he put on a match that I thought was awesome with Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
I feel like he could do a great match with me.
Maybe he could. I'm going to keep going here. There was a fatal 4-way for the Intercontinental Championship won by The Miz that took place at Extreme Rules, also featuring Cesaro, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. It was awesome. Now, WWE, I don't think put this on their top 20, but I remember it just being amazing, calling it a match of the year contender, and it was a contender, but it didn't make it for me.
I actually have that on my notes. I have that match written down as like that was a possible for me.
Yeah, and then one more I'm going to mention as an honorable mention. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but The Miz and Ziggler from No Mercy, although you could pick any one of their contests this year.
Not the last one, though.
Yeah, okay, but there were 2 before it that I thought were great, including, that doesn't even include the one at SmackDown where The Miz won the title back, SmackDown 900. So, yeah, they had a lot of great matches this year. But the one I'm going with, without saying it, do you think you know what it is?
I don't know if I know it.
It came from, and I wanted to go with one from a pay-per-view because I feel like those are bigger matches. But if you watch these shows back, there's one match I've kept referring to over and over and over again as being the high bar for this year. And it was the main event of the Raw after WrestleMania, which honestly may have been my favorite show of any kind all year, including pay-per-views, including WrestleMania. The Raw the next night is the one I look at the most fondly, I feel like. The main event was AJ Styles, Cesaro, Chris Jericho, and Kevin Owens. And they had this amazing fatal 4-way match that went on all night long. And I just loved every second of it. And I couldn't believe this was a Raw. And it was such an important Raw because it's that after WrestleMania Raw. And I just loved it. And that was my favorite match of the year.
I'm glad that you picked that then. I think that's an incredible match. And I think it needs to be noted that when we talk about matches of the year, a lot of the usual suspects show up. Kevin Owens shows up in a lot of them.
Correct.
AJ Styles shows up in a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
But someone that's showed up in a lot of them that just keeps getting overlooked, Cesaro,
Sami Zayn's been in a few of mine too.
Yeah, I mean, like Cesaro and Sami Zayn put on such good matches, and Cesaro especially. Like, remember some of the matches he had with John Cena in 2015 for the U.S. title? Those were great.
Absolutely. I think honestly too, while Superstar of the Year may be the most noteworthy, I think my favorite category is Match of the Year.
Yeah, it was mine because it had me going back and watching some matches and thinking about it again.
All right, so the newcomer of the year. Now, I went back and I watched the last year's episode, and we defined a newcomer as someone new to the WWE main roster.
Okay.
And
easy. That's so easy. In this calendar year.
Yes, correct.
Done.
Okay, well, here's the thing. If that is the criteria, the newcomer of the year has to be AJ Styles.
Done. That's what I have.
But I have a hard time calling him a newcomer because, first of all, if you want to be technical, he had matches in the WWE in 2001 or 2 on Velocity. And I just have a hard time calling a guy who has like a 25-year career a newcomer.
Okay.
So if it depends on how we're categorizing this. So
I have a second one beside it. If you want to just agree that AJ Styles is by definition newcomer of the year, but it doesn't feel right because he's not a newcomer, let's pick someone else.
Right. So I feel like if that's the definition we're using, you have to pick AJ because the superstar of the year is AJ. But if we're going by a more traditional definition, a young up-and-coming guy who made their debut on the roster, I'm going to go with specifically Enzo, to be honest with you. That might be a weird choice for a guy who may not have the WWE Championship in his future, who doesn't have a whole lot of gold, who I don't think won any title, at least on the main roster this year. But when you think about what his job is and how important he's become to Raw, how he's become mainstream among wrestling fans, he's gotten so over on his promo ability that I think he is the newcomer of the year this year.
I have Enzo and Cass. I was going to put them together.
That's fine.
But, you know, Enzo really showed his power the night that Gallows and Anderson shut his mic off. And
yeah, that was great.
He shows his microphone tattoo, and he says, I have a mic right here. And the whole crowd knew every word.
Dude, when they debuted the night after WrestleMania, their first time on the main roster cutting their signature lines, the crowd is right there with them. That's amazing. You know,
amazing.
I think Enzo had a great year. I love the dude, and I'm going to give him, you know, the unofficial newcomer of the, however you want to look at it. So
we'll do that. And I also have just, you know, third honorable mention, because he'll never get another award again, James Ellsworth.
You know, I thought about that, and if you look at the year he had, specifically the last 2 months, it's not a crazy thought, but I can't give him that award personally.
I'll put him at number 3. I'm okay putting him there behind Enzo and Cass and behind AJ Styles.
Behind like Finn Balor, who, you know, only had a handful of nights.
Sorry, Finn, you had one match. You're done.
Okay, fair enough. Did he have any matches on Raw, or did he not? I don't remember.
He like a half a match. I don't know. I don't count it. Finn Balor does not count to me this year.
Hey, listen, I agree. I don't.
Even though he was the first Universal Champion.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going here. What do I have next?
Is Shocking next?
No, I've got pay-per-view next.
Okay.
Oh, because we crossed out the one and we put in pay-per-view.
Oh, good.
So
okay.
We decided in a new category, the only new category this year, to crown the best pay-per-view of the year. And again, I guess if I wanted to mention, or I guess you're going first this time. I guess we can't put this category, this show in this category, but my favorite night of wrestling was probably the Raw after WrestleMania.
You love that. You always love the Raw after WrestleMania traditionally.
Yeah, it's usually the best Raw of the year, in my opinion, where everything kind of restarts. But since it's not technically a pay-per-view, I will yield to you, and I want to know what you thought the best pay-per-view of the year was. Some good choices this year.
Some good choices, and it can't, you know, I gave some consideration to the one we just watched because I really enjoyed that pay-per-view quite a bit.
I thought about it. I just didn't think it was the best. It was one of the better ones, maybe in the better half. But
I also considered, I really considered Extreme Rules because of the 4-way Intercontinental match.
I do have
AJ Reigns was great, and Rollins returns and surprises everybody. Like, I really like that.
Yeah, and I have to be honest, with a lot of those B shows that were earlier in the year, one of the problems with me was that they kind of blended together. I don't know, but I consider that more a problem of too many pay-per-views.
Yeah,
as opposed to bad pay-per-views.
I agree. I would, though. I decided finally, even though the ending was weird, I liked it. Some of the hype leading up to it, I didn't love, but I went with SummerSlam. I really the Jarrett KO versus Enzo and Cass match. That was one of the first times we got to see Jarrett KO work together. AJ Cena was unbelievable. Finn and Seth was great. And then you had the weird Randy Orton almost dies thing. I liked it.
Yeah. Did you mention AJ and Cena in there?
Yeah. Okay. AJ Cena, I thought was off the hook. Wasn't that the best of their matches? I thought it was.
And then did you mention Sasha and Charlotte almost killing Sasha?
I didn't mention that, but that goes right in there with it. I thought it was a great pay-per-view.
I agree. That was a great pay-per-view. And I also agree it was the pay-per-view of the year. We agree on this one.
Holy for holies. Yeah. I didn't think we were ever going to agree on this.
With 27 to choose from, I can't believe we chose the same pay-per-view of the year. But
did you have a number 2? Because mine was Extreme Rules.
It would probably be that one, although I'm going to be honest, a lot of that stuff blends together. Like I said, those first half of the year pay-per-views, they kind of fall together for me. But yeah, when I was going through doing some research on those, yeah, with that match, that fatal 4-way match, which made my top 5 matches this year. Yes, but SummerSlam, we agree. So
pay-per-view of the year, by the way, not to be confused with my favorite pay-per-view of the year, which is always the Royal Rumble.
Oh, I look forward to the Royal Rumble. Yeah, but if it doesn't wind up being the best, it doesn't wind up being the best. I feel like we give that sound effect whenever we agree on someone. If someone is unanimously the post-to-post postie winner, we give them the round of applause.
Because they deserve it. They deserve it.
All right, perfect. Let's keep going. Up next, I got the most shocking moments. And let me make sure that people are aware of what we're talking about here. The most shocking moment is specifically for on-screen stuff, written stuff. Like there's going to be one later for stuff off-screen. So that's going to be the news story, the best news story of the year. But this is for the most shocking moment on-screen. And this, to me, was very easy. I was at a loss at first, and then I realized there was a definitive choice for this category.
We're going to agree. I know it.
It's hands down Goldberg-Lesnar.
Goldberg! Goldberg!
I'm assuming that we deserve the sound effect then?
They deserve it. They deserve it.
It was what it was. I have mixed opinions about it. I will say, if their job was to get Goldberg over and get people talking, then they did their job right. If their job was to put on a compelling match that would live on, through the annals of history, they didn't do that. I was kind of hoping for something closer to that. I don't know why, but maybe their job was to just get people talking, and they certainly did that. That was the biggest shocker of the year.
Dude, they shocked us so much. I mean, you really think about it. We both were still thinking about it when we woke up the next day.
And that was one everyone was talking about. No one saw it coming, and yeah, that was the jaw-dropping moment this year. And then, well, let's just keep going in order, I guess. Going to go to you first, if you don't mind, Mr. Valeri. This was the hardest topic for me to pick a winner in. The topic this category is best promo. This is not for a person, it's for a specific promo.
This was hard for me because I wasn't watching wrestling for most of the year as co-host of Post to Post. So I wasn't taking notes or remembering promos that I liked, and I was just watching wrestling in a different way. But that said, after I really thought about it, there was one promo that I loved more than any other promo. And it's interesting because it wasn't a promo that really moved any stories forward. And
mine you can say that for.
It didn't have a lot of impact in the grand scheme of things, but it was the best promo of the year.
I wonder, is there a chance we're going to say the same thing?
I lovingly refer to this promo as, I'm going to come down there and sit on your lap.
That's not mine, but what a choice. What a great choice.
That was the funniest 10 minutes of Raw all year. When Jericho and Kevin Owens are interrupted by Enzo and Cass, and Jericho just goes crazy.
You know what? I got to be honest with you. I was thinking of a lot of Jericho stuff and just kind of making the list in general, kind of like the induction. I didn't, but that is a great choice.
That was one of the first. That wasn't the first time the list showed up, but that was the first time he had the fancy list. He's like, "You just made the list," and then they refer to him as Santa Claus, and he says, "I'm going to sit on your lap." And Cass is like, "Did you just say I'm going to sit on your lap?" And he's like, no, I never. No, I never. I sound like a punch in the face. I
can't think of a promo that we've discussed with more time on this show than that one. So that's a great choice. Let me remind you of another one. Maybe you didn't think about it. And again, it kind of falls into your category. It didn't really do much for a feud or a storyline. In fact, to be honest with you, I'm not even positive I can tell you who this promo was directed towards. But the one that kept coming into my mind when I was thinking of my favorite promo this year was, I believe it was the 4th of July and what I'll call Enzo reciting the presidents.
Oh, I couldn't believe he did it, too.
Remember
That was so good.
Where he just went through them all in chronological order with the how you doing in between them.
That was so great.
It was
that
great.
Was great. That's a great promo.
So, yeah, I think I love this category now because we both kind of brought two different perspectives into that.
And both involve Enzo.
Yeah, but Jericho deserves if you're giving it to one pro, I think you're talking about Jericho.
Yeah, Jericho gets my promo.
And then for me, I have to give it to Enzo specifically, but great stuff there. Absolutely. Do you remember who that was on, by the way, who was in the ring when he was reciting oh, you know who it was?
New Day.
It was, yeah, they were dressed up like Uncle Sam stuff.
Right.
Yeah. All right, cool.
I'm getting nervous, Rob, because we've got like 8 minutes before you get kicked out of your studio.
All right, let's keep going then. We've got 3 more categories. I think the biggest among them is this next one, Feud of the Year.
Why don't we save that for last and just do the other 2 so we don't end on a stinker?
There we go. Biggest news story of the year. This is for off-screen stuff they weren't planning, stuff that you would have read about on a news site as opposed to, on WWE TV. Obviously, the one I'm going with is something that bled onto WWE TV. You can induct this one of 2 ways, but I'm going to say the biggest news story this year was current WWE champion Roman Reigns getting popped for performance-enhancing drugs. It had residual effects because that same week or that same bust, a lot of big-name stars got popped in the same one. They got Paige, they got Eva Marie, Alberto Del Rio. So I'm saying drug violations in the summertime was the big
I didn't want to
story.
confuse biggest with my favorite. Biggest is definitely Roman Reigns. You're right. I agree. He deserves it. He deserves it.
You deserve it. There you go.
My favorite was this watching Paige and Alberto Del Rio self-destruct is my favorite. I'm enjoying that a lot.
Okay. That they're kind of related, I feel like. They're kind of in the same story. Because that's the violation that got Alberto eventually he released himself, but that violation was what caused his release, and it caused Paige self-destruction, I feel like. So it was all kind of part of the same umbrella. And then you can even throw the champ in there. I thought that was a huge story.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Right.
So Rest in Peace Award now.
The Rest in Peace Award, I also had a hard time remembering. In fact, I even had to Google to make sure this person did die this year. But I was right, this person did die. I feel like there's one definitive choice this year.
There's one definitive choice because, and I never got a clarification, is this the biggest one or the one that mattered the most to me personally?
However you want to do it.
Okay. So the biggest one is China.
That's my choice, without a doubt.
China is the choice. But I don't want to go through the Rest in Peace Award without saying, Mr. Fuji, you will be missed.
Mr. Fuji.
I love Mr. Fuji.
Okay. Yeah, China wins this award for sure.
Come on. Okay, she wins the award, but can we say Mr. Fuji, rest in peace?
No, I wish I could dump it.
Come on.
This is YouTube. I can't dump it like the radio.
You didn't like Mr. Fuji?
He's not. I mean, I'd rather give it to, Balls Mahoney this year or Axel Rotten than Mr. Fuji personally. All right.
You have a thing against top hats, bowler hats.
That's what it is. I hate bowler hats. And then Feud of the Year. All right, Jared, what do you got?
Okay. I feel like we might have the same one. I have to give it to AJ Styles and John Cena.
Really? Okay.
I give it to AJ Styles and John Cena. I thought they did an incredible feud with one another. They put on great matches. It was something everybody wanted to see. You had the leader of one company for 15 years and the leader of another company for 15 years. It is a dream match in a way. And it was when AJ really started to embrace the heel character. I mean, AJ turned heel in that beat up John Cena thing, and he won the feud. And so I'm giving that my nod as Feud of the Year. I really enjoyed that.
Not only did he win, but I don't think Cena got a victory over him ever.
No, he buried Cena, and that was really my introduction to AJ Styles.
I think the best matches of Cena's career were with AJ Styles, and to be honest with you, I had 3 in my short list, and I have that as number 3. And there were 2 that I thought better, and I almost went with this one, but I feel like if I did this, it would have kind of been in like an a slightly undeserving Hell in a Cell kind of way, but I feel like Sasha and Charlotte had an even better feud than AJ and Cena.
They have a great feud,
but they're not
still going on for the end of time.
And they're my number 2. And if you think about what it's done for women's wrestling, if you think about how many great matches they've had this year, I'd bet you that the top 5 women's matches in the history of pro wrestling took place between those two this year. But to be honest with you, I can't think of a specific pay-per-view that they had the best match of the night on. And every single time the two guys in my number 1 choice got together, I found it to always be magic. I think that it changed the way people looked at both of these guys. I have to go with The Miz and Dolph Ziggler, personally.
I thought you might go with that. And I think it's a great feud. It turned me around on Dolph Ziggler for sure.
Look how you
and you know how I feel about The Miz.
Look how you feel about both those guys just 4 months ago. And now,
and I love Miz now. Like, I geek out when he comes out.
And you like Ziggler whether you admit it or not.
Yeah, I do a little bit.
Over the past month, you do. So there you go. So yeah, honestly, we don't disagree, but we have different choices for feud of the year, which was a good one to go home on because that's a big one. I feel like too. So
I feel like the second year of the Posties was a good one.
Yeah, I think some great stuff in there. And we've got the reason we're not doing this next week is because we've got a lot to cover next week. On Tuesday, we'll do the Raw recap. And on Thursday, we'll cover SmackDown and the Roadblock predictions.
Perfect. And then on Friday, you'll be at my house.
That's right. I'll be able to watch Roadblock with you. I'm excited about that, too.
It's the only reason I'm excited for a Roman Reigns main event is that I get to watch it with you.
We get to watch Sasha Charlotte 49 together. So I got to get out of here. I got to let the next guy in the studio. Actually, you know what? Technically, I forgot. With the vacations this week, I don't need to get out of the studio here in 2 minutes anymore. So.
Oh, well, guess what then?
What?
Time for a 2-hour edition of Post.
On that note, please join us next week. We'll have another normal schedule before our holiday vacations. For myself, my tag team partner, Jerry Valeri, congratulations to all the recipients of the 2016 Postie Awards. And we'll be back next week with Post to Post.
Like how we got all dressed up for the Posties?